right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, car owners beware. Rodents chewing through wires, causing hundreds of dollars in damage. The I-Team explains these wires are on certain cars. Does it include yours?
While the drought continues to expand across the bi-state region, we're tracking the chance of showers and thunderstorms that could bring some of us relief this weekend.
And our top story tonight, a local police chief pulled over.
You've been weaving quite a bit.
One officer describing him as hammered drunk.
So right foot in front of your left foot.
Why the chief's attorney says the officers didn't follow protocol.
Thank you for joining us tonight on 5 on your side at 10. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. We begin tonight with the latest into a top cop's brush with the law. Video shows the Hazelwood police chief taking a sobriety test following a traffic stop. Officers say he was more than 2 times over the legal limit. 5 on your side's Brent Solomon explains the chief never went to jail and to this point has not been arrested.
All right, Mike, let's face it. If you're intoxicated and you get pulled over, you're probably getting arrested. That didn't happen in this case, and tonight many of you are asking why.
Take a close look at the video.
He is hammered drunk right now.
During a sobriety test, you can see Hazelwood Police Chief Greg Hall struggling to walk the line. An officer is heard saying the chief is more than 2 times over the limit to drive.
This was ultimately a decision that this chief of police made that put members of the public at risk. And so in that case, I think he has to be held to the same or higher standards as anyone else would be.
5 on your side political analyst Anita Mannion says members of law enforcement are rarely prosecuted for alleged crimes committed on the job. This case is different, and there's video.
And I think the calls for transparency in recent years, some of that from the Black Lives Matter movement, some from others calling for transparency and accountability, particularly from police and criminal justice system, have called for those vehicle cameras, those officer body cams.
It's been nearly 2 months since that traffic stop. The video is just coming to light. The chief has stayed on the job without any charges. While struggling to walk the line, the then 66-year-old told officers he has bad ankles. Could that be the key to his defense?
Anybody who is 65 years of age or older, 50 pounds or more overweight, or a person suffering from ankle, knee, hips, back, or inner ear problems are not a candidate for those tests.
Hall's attorney is questioning the legality of officers performing a breathalyzer and other sobriety tests. During the stop, the then chief of Fallon Police, John Neske, is called to the scene. He gives Hall a ride, not to jail, but to his home.
Without those videos, the other chief comes and picks him up and no one's none the wiser.
Now, the St. Charles County Prosecutor's Office tells us at this point there is no application to charge Hall, likely because he was never arrested. You'll recall last week that same prosecutor, by the way, was also accused of DWI. Tonight, I reached out directly to the police chief for comment. We also reached out to the St. Louis Area Police Chiefs Association. We'll let you know if we hear back from either.
Brent, thank you. Tomorrow, Stephen Cannon will go on trial for the June 2020 shooting death of retired St. Louis Police Captain David Dorn. The retired captain was killed while protecting a friend's pawn shop from looters. Jury selection will get underway in the morning, and 5 on your side will be in the courtroom. We reached out to the Dorn family, who said, "We are patiently waiting for justice for our dad. We will be at the trial every day."
Tonight, police are still looking for information following the murder of a former CBC football player. Crime Stoppers announced earlier today that they were increasing the reward for any new information in the death of Damian Baker. He died during an attempted carjacking near 7th and Surrey. Police believe there may be witnesses who would be crucial to their investigation, and anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS, and callers can stay anonymous.
Drivers in Missouri, have you noticed? According to AAA, gas prices in the Show Me State have dropped in recent days, and analysts predict that's only the beginning. Music to our ears. 5 on your side's Robert Townsend is live in downtown St. Louis, talking to drivers about the dip at the pump. Robert, good news to go out and talk to people about.
Hey there, Ann. Let me tell you, it's definitely good news. We've all been waiting here. Let me tell you, AAA says gas prices in Missouri are finally heading in the right direction. They're going down. But drivers I caught up with here tonight tell me they are still feeling the pain at the pump. Right now in the Show Me State, the cost of a gallon of regular unleaded fuel is $4.34 a gallon. Now, AAA says that's 13 cents less compared to a week ago. Experts also tell us falling crude oil prices are definitely helping gas prices fall here in St. Louis and across the state. But again, every driver I talked to tonight at this downtown station says gas prices are still hurting their pockets.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't even really tell. Like, you can't tell on cents. We looking for dollars. We looking for, you know, a couple cents don't really save nobody.
It's still too high, but I can't complain. I still gotta get gas no matter what.
To fill up my tank is almost as much as I make a day.
What's the alternative?
I don't know. I don't know if it was. I think we all can get together and kumbaya and figure that out, right?
She's probably right. Experts say currently drivers in Missouri are paying the 12th lowest gas price in the country. Over in the Metro East, listen to this. A gallon of regular gas is still costing those drivers well over $5. We're live downtown. I'm Robert Townsend.
And right now, another look downtown. A warm night here in the bi-state. Let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. And Scott, it's about to get a whole lot more humid, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is going to get a lot more humid, and it is going to get interesting. Let's show you what's going on. I kind of got messed up on my graphics there. Here they come. So today we had a record temperature in 1954 of 115 degrees, hottest ever on record. We're not going to see that. The drought is the biggest concern. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes, Ann.
Thanks, Scott. Former Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander was in town tonight to promote his new book and further the conversation about PTSD and mental health. Kander says, as a former Army captain, he left his issues with PTSD unchecked for nearly 11 years. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski was at tonight's event.
Yeah, and Jason Kander says he hopes with his new book and continued work with veterans, he can help those who may not even realize they're struggling with trauma or PTSD symptoms.
I went 11 years with not knowing, or at least not admitting to myself that I had PTSD.
Former Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander says he stepped away from politics to focus on his mental health and has now written a book, Invisible Storm, to try and help thousands of others dealing with the same issues.
I wasn't gaining perspective. I was delaying my opportunity to heal by telling myself a lie that what I experienced was no big deal. It doesn't really matter why you feel off, why you feel traumatized. It doesn't matter. You just deal with it and you get past it because you can't rank it out of existence.
Stacey McMacken says Kander is doing a great thing for others. She even called him her hero.
There's so many people that go for years and years and years and not realizing that if they had a little bit more self-awareness, they'd be so much happier. And getting help is not a thing to be shameful about.
Kander says thanks to therapy, he's now in a post-traumatic growth phase of his life.
I had to go through therapy to get to a point where I can sit in a restaurant and be okay not facing the door. But probably a lot of us feel that way right now, which is really messed up.
Through his organization, Veterans Community Project, he hopes to help nearly 1,200 homeless veterans in Missouri and Illinois, many of which are in this situation because of PTSD.
We do tiny transitional houses for homeless veterans, and I'm a veteran myself, and I know how important mental health and supporting our veterans is and getting them the help that they need. And that's one of our goals, is to connect them to the resources that are out there and ensure that they're getting help.
Yeah, so Veterans Community Project is building 20 houses here in the area right now, and they plan to open those all up this fall. Reporting live in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
More and more people are masking up as COVID-19 cases continue to rise. The BA.5 variant is causing a spike in cases. Missouri health experts have been using wastewater to track the virus. The Sewer Shed Surveillance Project looks for COVID-19 viral loads in wastewater samples. Experts say they have been finding traces of BA.5 for months. In St. Louis, the health department believes 70% of new cases are because of BA.5.
BA5 seems to be expanding faster than BA4 because the two are nearly identical. And I don't know what about BA5 makes it better. The virus is still here and it's not static. It is adapting. So your immunity is only good for so long.
Everyone is encouraged to get tested if they're experiencing COVID-19 symptoms.
Today, the first possible monkeypox case in the Metro East. St. Clair County reported a probable case earlier today. This comes just 2 days after the city of St. Louis reported its first probable case of the virus. The St. Clair County Health Department said the person likely contracted it while traveling. We're told the person had minimal contact with the public and all close contacts have been notified. Officials are awaiting confirmation from the CDC on whether it is indeed monkeypox. Monkeypox is a rare virus. It's usually passed through close contact. It shows up as a pimple-like rash. Other symptoms include fever, headache, muscle aches, and exhaustion.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson was in town signing a bill into law following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The law brings into question when a mother's life is at risk. It defines a medical emergency as something that could result in irreversible physical impairment of a major bodily function of the pregnant woman. He declined the Democrats' call for a special session in order to clear up confusion about that definition. This law comes just weeks after Parson signed a proclamation banning all abortions from the moment of fertilization.
The question that OBGYNs and surgeons and pregnant women with complications have is, do they have to wait until internal bleeding begins before they can start caring for?
I think what's going to happen is they're going to have a seat at the table to decide what life-threatening is to the patient. And I think the patient's going to have a place to play in that, doctors are. But I don't think we need to leave that up to bureaucrats and attorneys.
Missouri Democrats say Parson refused to give hospitals clear answers, opting instead for vague assurances. Planned Parenthood said the state's one-page fact sheet deferring on the criminal code was cold comfort to hospitals and health providers.
Car owners may think it's faulty wiring, but it turns out the problem could actually be rodents. Our I-team with a warning for drivers. The summer heat has farmers sweating.
It is so dry right now, when you bend it and it basically cracks. Right now we're about 50% on our hay.
Now, local farmers say the lack of rain has the future of crops hanging in the balance.
68 years ago today, the hottest temperature on record in St. Louis, 115 degrees. While it's hot, it's not that hot the next few days. And we're talking rain chances this weekend. We'll show you the areas most likely to get wet.
Today, a community came together to honor the 10 victims gunned down in a Buffalo, New York supermarket. A moment of silence was observed at the top supermarket in honor of the victims, grocery store employees, and those impacted by the shooting. City and religious leaders also led the group in prayers. This comes as the supermarket is set to reopen tomorrow. The store has been closed since the May 14th shooting.
Through car wires. One driver from St. Louis County, who happens to also be a state representative, reached out to the I-team saying he's out hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Our Paula Vassan found out he's not alone and shows us your options to try and protect your car.
We have a 2020 Honda Civic that is currently in the shop for the second time in 4 months for the same issue.
There's a Kia, Fiat, Chevy, and Audi parked here in Ian Mackey's shared driveway. But the state representative says it's only his 2020 Honda Civic that's been under attack.
Rodents have gotten into the car and chewed through the electrical wiring.
It's getting repaired again because his car wouldn't start. And now he's out $800.
We took it to the dealership and they take zero responsibility. They call it a coincidence and they want us to pay 100% out of pocket once again.
Do you think Honda is passing the buck?
Yes, absolutely. Honda is absolutely passing the buck. What I'm doing is trying to get dealers everywhere, or Honda in general, to take some responsibility here because I know this is clearly a widespread problem.
Mackey believes rodents are targeting his Honda for its more eco-friendly and less expensive soy-based wiring, a move among many car manufacturers in recent years. One solution, rodent repellent tape. Mackey says that didn't work for him.
And there's no sign that it's going to stop. It's most likely going to happen again.
One attorney who didn't want to speak with us on camera told us she's aware of at least 7 lawsuits over the past several years, filed in California and Illinois relating to rodent damage. They were filed against Honda, Kia, and Toyota. Of them, many have been all or partially dismissed, judges ruling the plaintiffs didn't have a strong enough claim. Others are ongoing. We also dug through thousands of driver complaints to federal safety officials and found rodents have caused destruction on all types of cars. Drivers complain a rodent chewed through the wires. The wiring harness was destroyed, and the fuel lines were chewed on. Based on data we analyzed so far this year, we found these problems represent a fraction of a % of all car problems reported to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Mackey believes his experience is underreported.
Yes, absolutely.
This isn't a new problem.
That's Scott Holman with the Insurance Information Institute, a nonprofit.
Mice and rats and squirrels have been chewing wires on cars for many, many years.
His advice:
if you have what's called an optional comprehensive policy, which most people do, that kind of damage may be covered.
Mackey says the damage is still costing him time and money.
It's happening more to Hondas, and it's happening more to this specific car.
We asked every automaker cited in our report how many complaints they've gotten about rodents chewing through car wiring. The companies didn't have an answer for us. A Honda spokesperson says rodent damage occurs across the industry and isn't related to a specific brand or model. You can find their full statement on our website.
At this point, Mackey, a state representative again, and a lawyer himself, says he plans to connect with attorneys working on this issue of rodents chewing through car wires to possibly join a lawsuit with others who've been through the same thing.
Well, it's a hot and dry summer in St. Louis, and the lack of rain is cause for concern. Cattle farmers say the heat is basically flash burning the hay. Ranchers can really get into trouble when they have to start cutting into their winter hay supply because the grass is so dry and it's not supporting herds on the pasture. And they say they need rain and they need it now.
Right now we're about 50% on our hay, what we normally have at this time. And we're going to be running out of time if we don't get more rain here in a month or two.
And the dry weather is also impacting soybean and corn crops.
Let's get back to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. And how much of a drought are we in, Scott?
You know, it really depends because some areas over the last couple of weeks have seen some rainfall, especially north and northeast of St. Louis. Once you get into the metro area, though, you know, we've had a dry day today. You look into downtown St. Louis, got the urban heat island still going on. Temperatures right now in the lower 80s. The drought gets worse as you get out of the metro and go farther to the south, down over the eastern Ozarks. And you get down into parts of Crawford and Franklin County, down towards Rolla, heading down towards Steelville, as going towards Lesterville and Centerville. There are pockets down here that have had maybe 20–25% of the amount of rain they would normally have through June and July. For St. Louis, we're about half of what we would normally get. Since the 1st of June, we've had about 3 inches, which puts most of the metro area in an abnormally dry situation. Now, there are some changes on the way that we've been talking about the last couple of nights. You can see the evidence of that in the form of some scattered showers developing across parts of Iowa, up into Minnesota, and some more a little farther to the west. Now, this should initially stay off to the north and northeast of St. Louis as we head through tonight and into tomorrow morning. But that's the kind of pattern that we're in this weekend as we try to transition into big heat, and it's a pattern that will give some of us some rain. No rain today, 97 for the high temperature in St. Louis. Of course, the record for today, the hottest day ever on record in St. Louis at 115 degrees back 68 years ago in 1954. At least we don't have that kind of heat coming our way. We're talking 60s to near 70 outlying areas tonight, into the 70s to start your morning tomorrow in St. Louis. Low to mid 90s tomorrow afternoon. Very slim chances of any rain tomorrow during the afternoon, and the heat index will stay very close to the actual temperatures. Now, as we go into Saturday, we're thinking most of the day is dry, and we're again on the toasty side. Temperatures well into the 90s. But then come Saturday night into Sunday morning, the area, especially west and southwest of St. Louis, hardest hit by the drought, the most likely, it appears now, to see showers and thunderstorms. Some of those will be in the metro area. There could be some spots that end up getting upwards of a ½ an inch to an inch of rain or more Saturday night into Sunday. But most of us will not see nearly that much, and some of us won't see hardly any at all. That also means Sunday's temperatures will be cooler, only in the low to mid 80s. Then you're back into the mid to upper 90s for much of next week.
All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Well, wait till you hear how our town is trying to get a Hall of Fame golfer to come here to play. That story plus the Cardinals and Dodgers, and on Frankly Speaking, a look at the Blues' wild week. The Cardinals didn't lose this series tonight. They lost it last night. You're up 6-0, and you have a great chance to take the first 2 games of a series against the best team in the league, and you blew it. So did you think the Dodgers were going to cut the Cardinals a break tonight? Dakota Hudson on the mound tonight, and he was okay. 6 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, including this RBI double by Will Smith, which scored Trey Turner. This pitch ended his night in the 7th. Gavin Lux, a 2-run bomb, and the Dodgers led it 4-0, and they are not coughing up a lead like that. The Cardinals actually had more strikeouts, 5, than 7, than hits tonight, 5. So the Cardinals are shut out for the 11th time this season. The Dodgers win the game 4-0. So Ali Marmol, what did you learn about your club when you're facing a great team like the Dodgers?
You get a feel for where you stand with guys that are playing well. I mean, these guys have a really good record. I feel like we match up just fine against them, to be honest with you. We're at a spot where we're still a couple guys down.
This is when you know we are in a hockey town. It's almost 100 degrees in mid-July, and everybody seems to have an opinion on the Blues' free agency moves. I'll give you mine in just a minute. The most talked about is David Perron headed to Detroit. He's left before, but the difference is this time he's coming off the best postseason of his career with 9 goals and 14 points. That's after he tallied nearly 60 points for the past 3 regular seasons. Today, Perron joined 101 ESPN to say his final goodbye to our town.
Oh, well, just from the bottom of my heart, I appreciated every single time I stepped on the ice wearing the blue note. I don't know, life's crazy, you never know, but I've enjoyed every single minute living there, and at different times in my life too, just almost like as a teenager to coming back, having kids grow up there, and I appreciated everything they've ever done for me, so thanks a lot.
It is kind of interesting that this guy, David Perron, who desperately wanted to stay here for the rest of his career, is leaving, and the player who seemingly wants to leave, Vladimir Tarasenko, could be staying. I know it's a little different situation. One was a free agent and the other has a year left, and Perron is 4 years older. In general, though, I would prefer the guy who wants to be a Blue, who loves this franchise, who wanted to retire as a Blue. However, 91 is a heck of a player, too. The 150 British Open began today at historic St. Andrews. This is Thomas Dietrich, who played at the University of Illinois. This birdie got him to 2 under par. Tiger Woods never saw under par today. He had to hit it out of a divot on the first hole, and the shot winds up in the water. Tiger finished +6, tied for 146th. That's 14 shots behind Cameron Young. He was on fire, shooting a 64. He leads Rory McIlroy by 2 shots. Speaking of great golf, Fred Couples is one of the best of his generation, a Hall of Famer. Now, a back issue keeps him from playing regularly on the Champions Tour. But the Ascension Charity Classic, coming in September to Norwood Hills, is using some creative recruiting tactics to try to get him here.
Down the left-hand side.
Freddie is a huge baseball fan. When I say huge, I mean huge. And so, obviously St. Louis being a great baseball town, we want to play him with Ozzie in the Pro-Am. And so we're sort of hanging that out there with Freddie, saying, look, come to St. Louis, play with Ozzie in the Pro-Am, take in a game. Last year we had John Daly throw out the first pitch at one of the games. We'll have Freddie do it this year. So we're really, he's also was, I think, a great baseball player. So we're using that angle. We really, really want Freddie in the field this year.
Ozzie Smith remains our greatest salesman in St. Louis.
For sure. All right, Frank, thanks. We'll be right back.
The Cardinals' biggest cheerleader made a stop before heading to Busch Stadium today. Fred Bird visited with kids at Shriners Children's Hospital. And while there, he spent time with patients and served up a hefty dose of good Cardinal spirit, full of fist pumping and tail shaking.
Painting Route 66 to celebrate the upcoming 100th anniversary of the route. Towns in Illinois are painting murals. First up is Collinsville It is one of 12 communities that will showcase these postcard murals. Some of the other cities taking part in the Route 66 Community Mural Project include Granite City, Edwardsville, and East St. Louis. And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Jimmy's guests tonight, Halsey and Larry Wilmore. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great Friday.